Welcome back to Ask Allison. Here's today's question. Should I start out taking insurance and then transition to private pay later on if I want to be private pay, or should I start private pay? Super good question. So before I answer the question, I would like to thank our sponsor, Therapy Notes. I've talked about them for years. You probably know their features by heart, but what really sets them apart is that they genuinely care about your experience. It's not just about troubleshooting, they actively implement user-suggested features like therapy search, secure messaging, real-time insurance checks, and their AI Notes feature, Therapy Fuel. Everyone at Therapy Notes believes in the product and they want you to love it too. Plus, they're independently owned, which means no venture capital and no pressure to prioritize investors over customers. This independence allows them to keep their prices fair, to focus on innovation and prioritize customer experience. With over 100,000 therapists already on board, they've proven you don't have to compromise success for quality. If you're ready to see it for yourself, go to therapynotes.com and use code ABUNDANT for 2 months free. All right. Should you start off taking insurance or just start off private pay? Short answer to this is it depends, which I know is not satisfying. It's not a clean, clear yes or no. And I wish it was that simple, but the truth is it's one of those decisions that has to be based on your real life, not someone else's inspirational story, not a social media post that says never take insurance, not what your grad school classmates are doing. Your decision to be grounded needs to be grounded in your unique circumstances, your values, and your goals. So here's the thing. I've had the immense privilege of helping literally thousands of therapists build and grow their practices. And one of the clearest patterns I've seen is this: there is no one right way. There's only the way that works for you. So instead of giving you a yes or a no, I want to help you ask the right questions, the questions that are actually going to move you closer to clarity. So let's start by getting really honest about why you're asking this in the first place. Sometimes when therapists ask this question, what they're really asking is it okay if I take insurance even though I want to be private pay? Or can I afford to hold out for private pay, or do I have to settle for taking insurance to make ends meet? And that tells me the question isn't just logistical, it's emotional. It's about fear or scarcity or the tension between what we want and what feels available right now. So I want to start by saying this clearly. You are allowed to build the practice you want. You can have a successful, full, profitable private pay practice. That is absolutely possible. And you don't have to compromise your vision just because it feels hard right now. That said, there are times when reality matters more than our vision. There are seasons where we have to make temporary choices to stabilize ourselves so that we can build that vision down the road. So let's look at some of those realities. If you're in a place where you have little or no savings, if you are working full-time in an agency or a job that is draining the life out of you that you need out of ASAP, if you have bills to pay or people depending on your income, or you're the sole provider for your household, if you're desperate to leave your job and you don't have time or energy to do consistent marketing on top of it right now, then insurance may be the best move for you in the short term. Not because it's what you ultimately want, but because it helps you leave a situation that's hurting you faster. That matters. So taking insurance in the beginning can bring clients in the door more quickly. It reduces the amount of time you need to hustle to build up referrals. It can feel like the more stable option, especially when you don't have a financial cushion. But I want you to go into that choice fully aware of the trade-offs, because there are trade-offs with whatever choice you make. So first, if you're going to take insurance, you're going to get paid less. It's just the truth. In many places, you might be getting 50% or even less of your private pay rate. That means you need 2 or 3 insurance clients to make the same amount of money as one private pay client. That's not just about the money, it's about the time. That's more sessions, more paperwork, more emotional labor. That adds up quickly. Second, there's the issue of later. If you start with insurance and then decide to transition to private pay down the line, you're eventually going to need to have an uncomfortable conversation with every client that you've taken on through insurance. You'll have to tell them you're no longer in network. And listen, I get why that's scary. Most therapists dread that conversation. I've seen people put it off for years. They tell themselves they'll transition soon with quotation marks, but the anxiety around letting people down or being perceived as greedy keeps them stuck. So here's what I want you to hear. The conversation almost always goes better than people expect. Yes, some clients will leave and go to the amazing referrals that you provide to them. That's okay. But many will stay, especially if you've built a strong therapeutic relationship and if you're offering support and transparency around the transition. But still, it's a hurdle. And I don't want you to be blindsided by it later or stay in a situation you don't want to be in for longer because you didn't kind of think through it on the front end. I want you to be able to plan for it. Third, insurance is getting more and more squirrely. So make sure your notes are solid. Amongst my students who take insurance, I'm seeing an increase in audits and clawbacks. Clawbacks are where the insurance company says you didn't document adequately, and you have to pay them back the money that they already paid you for those sessions. So if you decide to start with insurance on your journey to private pay, go in with your eyes open. Make sure that you have like your CYA. Know that it's temporary. Get really clear on when you're going to know that you need to switch to private pay. That might be based on savings. It might be based on consistent referrals. It might be when you're full. Figure that out. Know that it's a stepping stone if private pay is your goal. And know that you'll need to start planting the seeds for private pay down the line. You should do that as soon as possible. Also, if you're even considering taking insurance, I want you to start that paperwork immediately, like right after you watch this, because getting credentialed takes time. On average, it's about 3 months. And that's 3 months from when you apply to when you're actually in network and can start seeing clients. So even if you're on the fence, get the process started. You don't have to sign the contract if you change your mind. But if you wait until you're desperate for income, that's going to feel like an emergency. And I don't want you to be stuck waiting for approval when you need clients like right now. Now, let's flip the script. Let's say you're in a more flexible position. Maybe you have 6 months of savings. Maybe you have a partner who can support financially during the transition. Maybe your job isn't great, but it's tolerable. So you can build a small private practice on the side while working a job. You don't have to leave immediately. If that's you, then I want you to seriously consider building your private pay practice from the start. Because while it's slower to build, it's cleaner. You're not dealing with insurance paperwork. You're not waiting on reimbursements. You're not eventually navigating the awkward, I'm dropping your insurance conversation. You're building the practice you actually want, the one that aligns with your long-term goals. And in some areas, depending on insurance rate, your marketing, your niche, etc., you might reach profitability faster by going private pay. If insurance is only paying you $80 a session and your private pay fee is $175, you don't need nearly as many clients to hit your income goal. So even if you build more slowly, you might end up in the same or even better financial position in the same amount of time. That's why I'm always recommending doing the math. Get your actual numbers, find out what insurance companies are paying in your area, compare that to what your private pay fee would be. Know that it's going to be harder to get clients in the door in most places, private pay, than if you take their insurance. So it's not apples to apples in terms of referrals. So use your figure to figure out how many clients you need in each of those models to hit your target income. Maybe that's replacing your current income first and then your next income goal, but do the math. I've created a free worksheet to help you through this exact decision. It's not here to convince you one way or the other. I really honestly don't have a preference. If you want to take insurance for the rest of your career, amazing. If you want to be private pay the rest of your career, amazing. So what I care about basically is you make the choice that really truly serves you. And this worksheet is going to help you think through your values, your needs, your current financial reality, your energy capacity, your goals. It's going to help you get some clarity around which model makes the most sense for you right now. So you can DM the word sheets and I will send it your way along with a full archive of all our other worksheets in this series. But at the end of the day, this isn't about what's right or wrong. It's about building a practice that works to support your life. One that you can grow into, not out of, one that supports you as a human being, not just as a therapist. So whether you start with insurance or go private pay from the beginning, what matters most is making that choice with intentionality, not out of fear, not out of ignorance, but not because you feel like you should, but because it's what fits you best right now. And I promise you're allowed to change your mind later, either way. It's not permanent. You get to evolve as your life evolves. So you're doing great. You're asking the right questions. You're building something meaningful. And I'm really proud of you for doing it with integrity. All right. I'll talk with you later.